Good evening, everypony, and welcome to Commentary's Magic stream on today, Sunday, July 7th, 2019. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big Cheese.
Aracat.
And Ivory Starlight.
So, what are we talking about this week? Oh, wait. We know what we're talking about this week. We're talking about store championships.
I mean, those were a thing that did happen. There were some stores and there were some champions. And
There
it's a
was
good
some
idea to talk about them.
Tempest, and there was some yellow,
There was
and
more than
probably
just
some
your two
points
stores.
scored.
And there was a lot of blue, especially in the Midwest. But we'll get to that.
We've got some news here first, don't we?
I believe we do. So I believe we've heard quite a number of people asking us, hey, what about BronyCon? Well, the good news is we are, of course, running CCG events at BronyCon. But this being the last BronyCon, we are going to take it a little easy because we want everyone, ourselves included, to be able to make the most out of their time at the convention and experience everything else going on.
Seems like a good idea. This is my first BronyCon, and I'd like to see what the con has to offer, outside of just card games.
Indeed.
That being said, we wanted to be sure that there were enough events for people to participate, really no matter what their preferred format is. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
And so, which events are we going to be running at BronyCon as far as CCG is concerned, Ara?
We are running a core tournament. That's going to be on Friday from noon to about 4. And we're also running a Harmony tournament on Saturday from 1 to about 3. Both of these events will be in the Tabletop Lounge, otherwise known as the Tabletop Room. Rather than the traditional Crystal Arena, the convention is using every scrap of space they can get because they have a lot of content scheduled. And the Crystal Arena was a panel room that they were looking at going, I bet we can put panels in there. Commentary as Magic is also working on another panel on Thursday evening, but we'll have more details about that in the coming weeks.
That's going to be a fun one.
Oh.
And it definitely won't deplete all of my sanity.
I think it will deplete all of your sanity. Grandpa's is going to be excited for this one.
For now, though, we've got a little bit of time to discuss what people might be interested in seeing before they go to BronyCon. That is, what decks just performed exceptionally well in their own store championships.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound like real interesting. I think we should talk about something else, like which pony is best. Spoilers, it's Chrysalis.
Huh?
That's a funny way to say Fluttershy.
I mean,
Wait, this isn't a Thorax fan club?
Well, let's take a look at the top placing decks from the various store championships. Ara, why don't you get us into the first one here while I continue munching on this popcorn?
the emote doesn't work right. Oh well. All right. First up, we've got Santa Clara, which was a core championship, and I believe this was Big Cheese piloting your way to victory with the Tempest Pink list.
Yep.
What are we looking at here? It's aside from being Tempest and Pink and a little bit of white mixed in there.
Tempest Pink still does Tempest Pink things. I think I made there's one change.
The Sunset
actually
Festival
remember.
is new.
Yeah, it's running the Sunset Festival, and it's 46 cards. Yeah, I just threw in a Sunset Festival because nap cakes plus Sunset,
For
and I
giggles.
used it. Yeah, it's useful to have a little bit more hard removal, and that's actually like it's really useful to get. Like you can get some good friends out of that.
Fair enough, I think.
Especially in the current meta where there's a lot of very powerful enters play effects going around. Even if you can't get the napcakes into Sunset Festival combo, just being able to grab something out of the opponent's deck and deny them that enters play effect is usually pretty good.
Yeah,
Or-
there are certain decks that you just like. It's always good to do that against.
Or in some cases, I've noticed a lot of Pony of Shadows running around, and kind of by definition, if they're interested in getting stuff out of their deck, maybe you are too.
Yeah.
I want to see you play the Sunset Festival against the farm deck that is almost antisocial, except for the 3 Catajacks.
It seems good. Whereas those decks may also be sitting there and running one of the Orange Rescue Party as well, which that's a pretty valuable friend.
So do you think that there's anything that can be done playstyle-wise to adjust the speed of Tempest Pink? Because I know that was always the concern, was whether or not it could get the game closed out quickly enough, but it seems to have been doing really well.
Yeah. It has enough control to not need to score. It's not like your opponent's at 14 points and you have to get to 15 to win, generally.
Fair enough.
I think a few games I got to 15. But generally it's just get a good enough hold up and score points. And it has the mismains and has enough AT generation, it can just jump for those last few points.
So the fan man is asking, how would you counter this kind of Tempest deck? There's a couple ways that you can. I think the best way that I explored was using Silverstream Yellow, because what you want to look at is, okay, well, this deck really likes its friends, and Pink is really good at removing friends, and it also really likes its troublemakers, and Yellow's pretty good at dealing with troublemakers, and put both of those together and you can answer just about any kind of card in this deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got an answer to this, but it's weird.
Go wide.
There's a little bit of that, but I think I'm going to opt with the hipster option, play in the Defenders meta.
I mean, that does technically work.
I mean, this deck does lose against Thorax wide. I mean, I guess that's all Thorax, but
Obligatory hissing.
yeah, it can't. It has no answer to mains. So if your main is a threat, this deck just rolls over.
All right, let's take a look at the next one.
All right, next up we've got results from Denver, which is a core tournament. Now, some of you may be asking a question, wait, hold on. Denver was on the map? Actually, no, they weren't. But last time they had enough weird scheduling issues that they basically decided to go around and pick it up for this one, using the current set of rules. This one, I believe, was Bugle, and this is this just screams Bugle to me. It's just pink-white nonsense. And this looks annoying to play against.
You know it's Bugle because there's 3 Party of Ones in the deck.
This is a true statement. Well, it's either that or solving problems.
No. You know it's a Bugle deck because there are 3 Sopranos and 6 singing... Wait, no, hold on.
Wow.
Nice.
He'll never be able to escape that, will he?
Probably
Nope.
not. Singing Barrel Soprano being one of Bugle's most favored moves, I think. And it's a pretty good one.
There's actually just a ton of his calling cards in here, from the Sopranos and the Singing Barrels to the Party of Ones to the cracking the cases as well, because he really doesn't like dealing with troublemakers.
And I think the Castle of Friendships even.
It's starting to get that way, and I mean, this is nice because it gives him the option to run Stygian, so he can get even more value out of castles.
Oh my god. Yeah. This is pretty interesting, though. I'm not a particularly big fan of pink-white myself, but just by looking at this, I can tell that this is going to be a ton of fun to play with. Fun for you, not the opponent, just to be very clear there.
There's definitely a decent amount of hard removal here, and some soft control in terms of slowing down the opponent with eccentric or showy. control doesn't always have to be about just removing cards. And I think that's something that some people forget, is there are many irritating control decks that don't actually run that much hard removal. Now, this does run plenty of hard removal. But if you can find a way to really force the opponent to overcommit their resources to a particular goal, whether that's challenging a troublemaker or confronting problems or something like that, and you are able to do that, saving enough AT or cards to disrupt them at immediate speed, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I know, especially I'm still a real big fan of the Party of One for reasons that I'll get to later.
What's next?
Next up,
purple aggro deck.
that is in fact what we've got next. This is from the Utah Store Championships. This was piloted by Circuit Main, it says here.
In case it wasn't clear from some of the card choices, this was a Harmony event.
Yes, this was a Harmony event, thank you. It's purple. It's got Moon Dancer, which means it's an aggro deck.
Technically correct.
I am, in fact, technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. And it's got a bunch of other fun purple staples in here as well. Got some steady sessions there. Got the portal, got the scope. I don't see Napcakes, though, which is a little bit surprising.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to aggro by getting a bunch of power through putting cards on top of its deck and making Moon Dancer have giant power, which is great. The main is a little tricky to flip because you're going to have a hand that includes some of your friends that give you Meticulous, but those friends are all very difficult to play without your main flip because of color requirement. And what is interesting is that this deck runs Underlock and Tree as a starting problem so that it can move its main up there to get the power necessary to play these cards, but doesn't run Ancient Research, which could allow the main to flip automatically and maybe remove the need for some of those cards. Maybe he just wanted a very heavy Meticulous theme.
If I were to guess, I would assume that the Underlock and Tree is there to get Moon Dancer out as fast as possible, since simply moving Twilight up would get enough wreck to do that, assuming you don't get Mare or something in your starting hand.
Perhaps, but I think Ancient Research would still result in a fairly quick flip. I can imagine that Ancient Research is not the greatest idea if you're up against, say, Skystar.
The great thing about starting problems, though, is you really only need to run one unless you really want the effect later.
Yeah.
So I do wonder about that a little bit.
There's something to consider as well, which is aggro decks might look at their problem deck and say, I need to be able to confront these problems 100% of the time. And in most cases, that's true. Starting problem might be an exception because you are far more likely to see a starting problem rotate from the opponent's actions than any of your other problems.
Yeah.
That actually may be the reason against the Ancient Research is he doesn't have an alternate color to confront with.
This is true, but the advantage of getting Twilight flipped almost guaranteed on turn 2 is really hard to turn down, in my opinion anyway.
Considering how many card slots it could save him in his deck. It's an interesting choice, and it clearly ended up working out well for him, even beating out Sea Poppy, I believe.
That's something to take note of. Oh, Sea Poppy.
The Werefrog asks, how do you beat Sea Poppy? Go faster. Make them not find Sea Poppy.
Get rid of the Sea Poppy.
I have 2 words for you.
More sea poppy?
Old money.
Belly flop.
All right, next list.
Okay. Next up, we have Vancouver, which was another
I
Harmony
think you
tournament.
mean Vancouver.
I do not. Thank you. This one was Pages, and some of you may recognize this as, I think, identical to the deck run during Everfree.
There's a couple minor changes. I don't know what was put in, but the single copy of the White Cadence from Crystal Games is not here.
Very similar, though. And that's a lot of large cards. One might call them bombs.
Oops, all bombs.
One
Wait,
could, in
is
fact,
there
call them bombs.
only one No, there's 2 Harmony cards in here.
Well, the main, obviously.
The main,
Sure.
the Discord piles.
Lasso Jack.
And
Lasso
Lasso
Jack,
Jack.
yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
That main is super
But-
important, though.
Yes.
Yeah, the main is very important, and the Discord piles are the most efficient reanimation tool this deck has.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a interesting selection of stuff. I think this has changed. Were the Zomponies in the original list?
They
Mhm.
were.
It's got cards to deal with just about anything. Yeah, it has cards to deal with just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Love Reanimator decks. The cool thing about decks like this that try to bring their friends back out of the discard pile is they're never really going to get that much worse over time. There's always going to be cards that will disrupt discard piles in some way, shape, or form. But you'll have more flexibility in terms of the big bombs that you actually want to bring back from the discard pile. And so every new big bomb friend that comes out is just another option here in this deck's toolbox. This is kind of... I'd hesitate to call it the definition of a toolbox deck, but it's a very good example of one.
We're doing friend toolboxing now.
Yeah.
Seems fine.
Yeah.
All right, next list.
Let's see, hold on. I'm still counting the. It's other. I guess it's got old money, doesn't it? Okay, sure. I was about to say insufficient resource removal.
There's too much Thorax in this deck.
This next one, yes, there is absolutely too much Thorax in this deck. So we're getting a 2-for-1 here because Skitter rolled this thing up to both of the Seattle Store Championships in Defenders and Core with the same Defenders legal list and wiped the floor. It was actually kind of awful because
Sounds terrible.
the traitor.
There's only one Thorax in this list.
That is too much Thorax.
Man, can you imagine a meta where people play aggro?
No.
I
mean-
me neither.
Aggro's good though.
See, but I'm way less like I'm fine with that. I'm just way less okay with the fact that the traitor to the hive is at the helm here. Now,
So if this were Fluttershy, you'd be fine with it.
I would be much more okay if this was Fluttershy, yes. Now, the problem here is this basically doesn't work with Fluttershy, just the way that this wants to operate. This needs the Thorax. Because it makes a billion little tiny things and then runs a 10-something power Thorax up into the problem that's kind of annoying to deal with. And then it stays there because of the day shift. But As much as I hate to admit this, it is kind of a good deck.
Being piloted by a sorcerer probably helps a little bit.
Yeah.
The funny thing to look at here is there is a deck from the previous meta that would be able to deal with this, but we're fairly certain that deck would just roll over and die to a lot of other things, and that is Chaos Control. Chaos Control loves dealing with single high-value targets. Again and again and again and again. But it doesn't like dealing with the fact that everyone recognized that Chaos Control was a thing and then went away.
Yep.
Nice.
Someone should bring it back for Continentals this year.
You're implying like you're not going to do that.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I definitely don't believe you either.
I don't believe his lies.
You're implying I've been sitting here brewing since November.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, basically.
I'm glaring at you right now.
It's true. He's glaring at me right now.
Yes, you have. You're up to something.
I'm always up to something. Recently it was tennis. Now we'll see what I get into.
Okay. I see.
It's a reference we'll have to come back to at a later time. Anyway, next deck.
All right. Next up, we've got Richmond, Virginia, which was a core, and Ivory. This was your locals, I think.
It was indeed.
I recognize this deck.
Hey, I recognize this deck too. Didn't we just talk about this?
It's different.
It doesn't have Sunset Festival in it, which makes it a completely different deck.
How many
Totally
cards is it
changes
running?
the way you play it.
It runs the correct number of cards.
Thank you.
I will note that Thorax deck was actually 45 cards.
It was not 45 cards, it is 47.
Was it really? It was.
Yep, Pythons is a 47 card deck.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
I thought I
So-
had this talk. I thought I
Nope.
had this talk.
You all have no ground to stand on. I don't know what you're talking about. Every single one of you ran decks that were larger than 45 cards, except for Ivory. Ivory, you get a pass.
Yay. Anyway.
The rest of you turn in your competitive player cards. You have to turn them in.
There's not really a whole lot to add here that we didn't already cover. Tempest Pink White does Tempest Pink White things, lots of removal, Bodyguard to create some dudes, Miss Main to victory.
This main's a good card. And to your point, Cheese, one of the reasons why you don't have to worry about trying to race an opposing aggro deck for face-off or confront to confront. If it really does come down to a matter of you're going to need to get to 15 first, at that point your deck just becomes, well, I'm just going to gain as much AT as possible while removing your threats, and eventually I'll catch up.
When I run this, I actually don't usually have too much trouble catching up to my opponent in points. The deck actually can get its lock going pretty quickly most of the time.
Selena Blue just generates so much value.
Selena Blue is still probably my favorite card from Sequestria. Not
Such
just
a fun card.
she was perfect in Burb, she's perfect in this. Perfect card.
5 out of 7.
5 out of 7.
No, not even Sticks.
No. Stick is a really good card, but I have way more fun running Selena Blue than I do Stick.
Fair enough.
Also, I actually think I might like Sonata Dusk better than Berry Punch and Orange Swirl, because I can just put it down and get the value from the Eccentric. Whereas Berry Punch and Orange Swirl, I only get the value of confronting a 10 power problem.
And then sitting there and grinning at your opponent while they have this Taco Tuesday on the field.
You did that on purpose, Ivory. Don't think that escaped.
I mean, it almost did. But no, I am serious. I think that Sonata Dusk provides a lot more value, currently anyway.
Well, by definition, because if you're running the other one, you tend to get a DQ. Just saying.
Nightmare's a format.
Saying.
Nightmare was not an option on Store Championships. Should we put that on there?
All right, chat.
Yes.
Quick poll. Who wants to see Nightmare as an option for Store Championships next time around? The Werefrog says no. Ivory Starlight says yes.
The Werefrog is right.
Anemoy says no.
Oh, come on.
It's
not like any store's gonna actually pick it. Let it be an option.
You say that and then watch the entire West Coast.
I mean, you guys have fun with that. My players would absolutely never show up to a Nightmare event, so I can't do that.
Fine, Premier Block.
Alright, where's my mod deck?
No. I don't want to do that again. Please, no.
It's happening. You can't stop it. Anemoy says no very enthusiastically, like Michael Scott.
Okay, Fanman, what about Nightmare tournaments?
Nightmare is just a format where there is no ban list. Every card that has been printed is allowed with the text it was originally printed with. And sometimes the old confront rules are reversed, and then it's dumb.
It was extremely... No, it was the opposite of dumb. It was amazing. Unless you were a control player.
It was dumb!
You were a control player. Dirty control player.
Oh, there you go. Fanman votes yes. Perfect.
I mean, I think we're all dirty control players this time around, aren't we?
Yeah.
No.
You ran a control deck too.
He didn't say successful. He just said control players.
You definitely ran a control deck.
I ran a control deck, and it's sitting there going, how about we just aggro?
Just because it's having an identity crisis doesn't mean it's not a control deck.
All right, next list.
All right.
And Fanman has apparently changed his voice.
No mailbox? Okay. Let's see. Next up, we've got Fresno's Store Championships was Defenders, one of only two. And this was Grand Pauses.
We had 4 players there, and every single deck had 3 day shifts in it.
Sounds awful.
Ah, it was great, man.
Sounds awful.
The first round, a person had all 3 day shifts out. The second round, a person had all 3 day shifts out.
There were
the third round, a person had all 3 bunyips out.
It's a lot of yellow cards.
It was
kind
great.
of ridiculous.
Did your event last like half an hour?
Basically. Now, I know that in the rules it says you're not supposed to determine the outcome of a match by things like rolling dice.
Does that mean that you can't win with Poppy?
I think you just broke Poppy. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Anyway, the mono yellow mirror is basically a die roll or a coin flip to see who goes first.
Basically.
You can play that match as many times as you want, and it's really just going to come down to who gets that first turn advantage.
Well, it's not necessarily about first turn advantage. It's also about who finds the bunyip and or day shift first.
The thing is, though, there's so many cards that are so good in mono yellow, right? Any number of cards can just swing the game for you. So if you happen to find a stick early on, that's huge. If you find the bunyip, that's obviously huge. Day shift is obviously great. Meadowbrook can be good if you're dealing against a control deck, but it's not going to be good in the mirror. Defend the Hive can be useful. Zephyr can be useful. Like, any number of these cards can just let you get that face-off advantage.
Sure, but it's not just down to first turn. Like, I will not argue that is not pretty huge here. Because I've also seen matches with this kind of deck where it's like, oh, I got a great start, and there's no gas.
That's fair. Now, something that we've mentioned before, and I think we'll mention that again, be very wary of yellow in Defender's Block, especially, because this is a color that loses almost nothing.
I'm just going to sit here and point at the Trader to the Hive and hiss at it a little bit.
The biggest thing that yellow loses going into Defender's Block are Rise and Shine, Furball. Is it Furball or whatever the persistent friend is? I think it's Furball.
It's Furball.
It's Furball.
Yeah, Furball and Marble Pie.
But
and Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. In Skitter's Thorax deck specifically, it loses a couple of other things as well, but those are arguably slightly less important. The Beavers, of course, being the most relevant one, because there is nothing funnier than blowing up a stick before it gets the chance to get turned sideways.
It's terrible.
It's great.
That's stick abuse.
Anyway, next deck.
All right, let's go into the Midwest. This was Peoria, Illinois, which is a Harmony tournament. And this should look pretty familiar to a lot of people.
Hey, look.
I smell wings.
Yeah, wings.
Me too.
Are they spicy?
They're
Yes.
pretty spicy.
You mean they're pretty hot?
This is a
This is Harmony, so you can run Lily. Lily is such a good card in this
Lily
deck.
is.
Yep.
Well, Lily admittedly was a much better card with Drinking Duo, but this does have Pinky's Present to kind of make up for it.
No plushie dashes, no sticks in this one.
Mildly surprising. We see a Sequestria card and a Friends Forever card in the problems. This hasn't... it's kind of interesting to see that the newer sets haven't really brought a lot for this.
Well, to be fair, if Blue and Pink had gotten a ton of power in Sequestria or in Friends Forever, there would have been a lot of people that would be pretty upset with that, considering how dominating this deck was in Defenders for a long period of time.
Okay, that's perfectly fair, because the number of things from Defenders in this deck is kind of stupid. And there really should be one other one, but unfortunately that card is banned now. Rip. Yeah, we got some Hot Wings going on here.
There was another Hot Wings deck in second place as well, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. All right, let's see. What do we got next here?
More Tempest.
More Tempest.
I'll talk about Tempest some more.
I don't know. This looks pretty different. This looks
It is quite different.
yeah. This was a core list from Bloomington in Illinois, and this is Drata. So we have a Tempest blue, white, and let's throw some tricorns in for good measure.
So this is, as best as I can tell, a mashup of Alicorn aggro and Tempest Blue control. Because it turns out that when you've got, like, Daybreakers... Well, it's really just Daybreakers and Tempest Blue, but... when
And
you have
Paper
Daybreakers-
Twice.
Okay, sure, I guess you get to run the Paper Twice as well, though Tempest Blue doesn't normally run those. That's going to give you a lot of power. It's going to let you punch through some troublemakers, and then you've got big friends that you can get out, and they're going to cost a lot less thanks to Brad over there.
Let's see, what do we got here? $11 friends that I think can get hit by that.
It's a pretty good number. I mean, worst case scenario, Flash Sentry gives you a 3-power, 3-cost friend you can play without having to flip your main immediately. And saving Tempest's flip can actually be very valuable. If you can afford it. Admittedly, you can still do really stupid plays like play Flash on turn 2 into Paper Twy, exhaust Paper Twy, get 2 AT, and then flip.
It's terrible.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. It's just unfortunate that you can't play a Glimmer off that too somehow.
You know, if they would just go ahead and give Starlight her pair of wings, we'd all be happier.
Thanks, M.A. Larson.
I believe Starlight would be better after she gets wings.
Are you just trying to start a fight over there?
I'm trying, but Cheese isn't taking the bait.
I don't think it's working.
Give Starlight wings so that she can also have wing bling.
Agreed.
Oh, well, we got Wertharg throwing some shade in chat here. I mean, to be fair, we are talking about Spike, so eh.
All right, next list.
No one's going to touch that? All right.
No.
Nope.
We're heading over to
All right.
Russia?
Yeah, for this next one, we're going all the way around the world to Moscow. And I believe this is Hithrock. This is a Harmony tournament, if Vinyl didn't make that bleedingly obvious.
Oh, I can already tell this is Hithrock's deck.
I can't. There's not enough Trixie.
Why is Joe here?
I'd imagine to do shenanigans with Fire when ready.
Oh, this is running Fire. And no dilemmas.
I don't think it needs dilemmas to fire, does it?
No.
Oh,
No, it makes its own dilemmas.
This combo
Oh,
is
it's
so
using
dumb.
Silverstream. Okay, this is this. Yeah, this deck.
You're so mad at this, Ivory.
No, I'm not mad. I just don't. This combo is so dumb.
Okay,
It's
so
hilarious.
This is the
but
infinite
it's
replace
dumb.
problem deck, and then you get lots of trouble with Trixies.
I think we broke Ivory.
No, you broke me years ago. I am immune to everything now.
How does this does the deck just miss means to victory?
So, the way this deck works...
This is a combo deck, just to be clear about this.
It is a combo deck, but I'm a little confused here because I don't see Day Shift anywhere, and I thought this thing needed Day Shift to function. Oh, no, I remember. Okay.
You use Joe to park it at Fire when ready, and then you just continuously replace everything but Fire when ready, if I remember right.
Right, because you have Cloud Chaser and Flitter 2 on the team and Herd of Adoring Fans, so you can create infinite movement loops, and so you just constantly do that, and every time a friend moves to Fire when ready, it triggers a replacement of every problem. But while Joe's there, Fire when ready can't be replaced until it's solved.
Yeah.
And since you have the trouble with Trixie and figuring out friendship in your draw deck, you eventually gain infinite AT. And then at that
How
point...
does Joe stay at the problem?
The problem's
can't be
not
replaced.
solved, so he stays there.
When this card's problem is solved.
Right. Fire when ready never gets solved. It tries to replace, and Joe says the problem can't be replaced.
Correct.
So you make Fire when ready the dilemma.
Okay, sorry, it just replaces each problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it can't be replaced. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
His second ability is irrelevant.
Yes. So there you go. The ugly combo monster has reared its head again.
There it is. It's combo.
All
It's
hail the queen of combo.
It's viable, I guess.
It's viable. It has removal. It has things that mess with your opponent.
Can I get that gif of Tyrek and Chrysalis sitting there in the pool doing the giant air quotes, please? And just the text that says viable at the bottom?
Not immediately, but maybe.
Okay.
So that's it's an interesting meta.
What's next?
Let's see. I think the last thing we've got here is we're bringing it back to Omaha, Nebraska, which is a core tournament.
Before we move back there, the Werefrog asks, how does the problem become a dilemma? The super rare Silverstream from Friends Forever puts the top card of a problem deck into play as a dilemma when it is played. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Back to Omaha.
I can't make the Kansas joke? Okay. So this was a core tournament with the Werefrog taking first place with this Balloona purple deck. So we got us some sticks, got some AT acceleration. Got us some Thunderlanes too.
Heck yeah, Thunderlane. Hasty friends, yo. You got the Night Gliders, and you got the Prince Rutherfords, and you run the Thunderlane.
Yeah, Twilight and the Spike there, huh? You do get to move a bunch of stuff all over the place, and you've definitely got the AT to do it with all those ET generators and cost reductions.
I mean, Twilight and Spike with the Traveler Spike is also just so much value.
Yeah.
2 AT, move my thing, move your thing, also move your thing.
Oh, and the spike gets bigger. Yeah. It's it's quite a bit of value, I think. Jeez. That's just scary.
Got the Trots to try to break through some troublemakers if you don't want to just face off with Thunderlane, which, I mean, sometimes you might. That's pretty good. Calling the Dream Cavalry with Spike is also very stupid. Your opponent can park a bunch of characters at problems thinking that they're going to disincentivize you from starting a face-off, and you're just like,
Well, no.
Well, no. What if every AT I spent made this friend bigger and got rid of one of your dudes for the turn?
Sounds like shenanigans to me.
Looks like a good deck, though.
Huh?
So was that the last reported result we have so far?
That is the last reported result. I don't think we had any other... Well, of course Rutherford did. Game not perfect. Yak smash.
So what big takeaways can we make this time? What big sweeping claims can we sit here and share?
Still strong. Aggro still seems to have a place. Combos exist. Farm is dead.
I don't know.
I think those are the takeaways.
It's hard to look at the data and get something that's dramatically different from that.
I think the only thing I've really got is just little personal anecdotes here. It's like I picked a bad meta to run that Tempest blue-white deck in with as little practice as I had. That did not work well.
Yes,
So-
I'd like to give a huge, huge thank you to Aura and one of Ivory's players for deciding that Tempest Blue looked like a lot of fun to play, so that they could absolutely tank the deck's TIA rating.
The tier rating did not suffer that much. Okay, yes, it did. It went down 3 slots.
I promise if I had known what he was running, I would have given him Daybreakers.
The damage is done. Wasn't like I was carefully cultivating this or anything. Definitely not. Cursed, look at what you've wrought.
I mean, you could always switch to Tempest Pink.
I probably honestly would have been happier running a Tempest Pink list.
I like Daring Do too much. Daring Do is a good card.
I mean, it is.
You know what else is a good card? Belly Flop.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it is.
Tempest Blue did drop a lot of spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Well, there's always BronyCon to bring it back up.
Aha.
Ah, well.
But I did, however, manage to, in a game with Skitter, get all 3 of his bunyips banished. Also, I got a Yona banished. And Yona has persistence, so that took some doing.
It does take doing. I'm not sure that's worth.
I won a moral victory here. I may have been absolutely crushed, but I won the moral victory. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Fair enough. I'm still happy with where most of the metas are. Tempest does well in core, but people are aware of it, and it's not like there aren't other decks that don't also do well in core or counter specific builds of Tempest. I will be glad when Interdimensional Portal eventually rotates out, though. And Harmony, I am just constantly excited by. I still like Harmony. It's always wacky, it's always something out of the blue. There's just so many cards.
Yeah, huge card pool.
Well, before we wrap up the stream for this evening, I think we had one announcement we wanted to make regarding the upcoming Coco event, yes?
Yeah. Okay, everyone, you're supposed to go sign up. I brought you a link. Should
Yeah, go sign up.
click the link.
Do we want to set a number for if we're going to fire this one this week or next week?
We've currently got 6 people signed up. I think that's enough. We should let it go. And anyway, there's still a couple hours to sign up.
That's fair. You can still get in on this Coco. And try running a list maybe that was featured here if you want to try something new. Or get ready for BronyCon.
Gonna try kinds of different stuff. Should run the Tempest Pink list.
Yes. Yes, you should. You should run the Tempest Pink list.
Everyone
With-
should, so that he can
Everyone
run...
should. With no practice.
It'll be fine.
Run it blindly.
It'll be fine.
You're only a little salty.
I'm a little salty.
He's
It's the popcorn's fault.
a lot salty. No, he's over here eating. What kind of popcorn is that?
Dill pickle popcorn? It's delicious.
Yes, Fanman. Coco is run entirely online, so most people use webcams or they make other arrangements. And so all the matchmaking is online, and you have about a week to complete each match. So there's plenty of time for most people. This will be ending 1 week before BronyCon, I believe. So not overlapping that. But yeah, just check out the post there. It's got quite a bit of information about how Coco works. If you're not in Discord, you should join that too.
Agreed. For now, though, I think that's going to about wrap up our discussion on the topic of store champs for today. We would like to give a big shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. And if you aren't currently a patron and you enjoy what we do, please consider donating, as doing so enables us to continue making content like this. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, or if you're just interested in hearing about what we're working on for the future, there are many ways you can stay in contact. We have our Patreon as mentioned previously, but you can also reach us through Facebook, Twitter, and email. And patrons at or above the $5 per month level also get access to our Slack channel, where you can chat live with us any day, anytime. Usually. Except for Old Man Grandpa's. He has to go to bed early. Cheese does not.
How boring.
Right? If you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them on our YouTube channel linked in the sidebar, and while you're there, please make sure to subscribe so we can have a channel URL. It's a little easier to remember. We are very close. We're over 80 now.
Also, Google broke their link shortener, and now you get to bask in the glory of the horrible mess that is the channel URL. Seriously, what is that mess?
Should we try to pronounce it?
No.
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 With all that said, though, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big cheese.
Arcat?
And Ivory Starlight, signing off.
We'll see you all at BronyCon, or many of you. Everyone at BronyCon.
Everyone go to BronyCon.
All the people.
Leo.
They can't stop
you
all of
can go to
us.
BronyCon.
We're calling you out in particular.
Seems personal.
It is.
I would also call it Hithrock, but he tried.
Hithrock gave it his best try. You can blame the U.S. State Department for that one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Have a good night, every pony.
Good night.
Bye.
But